In the heart of London, tucked between the familiar hum of red buses and the buzz of busy cafes, was a quiet street corner near Covent Garden. Tourists and locals often passed it without a second glance. But on this rainy Saturday afternoon, someone, made the world pause. A small boy, no older than 12, stood under a lamppost with a battered guitar slung across his back. His clothes were worn but clean, his trainers scuffed, and his hair fell in soft, messy curls that framed his pale face. His name was Jamie Hughes, a boy whose voice few had ever heard, but whose silence spoke volumes. Behind him, sat a hand-painted sign. "Singing for Mum, she always believed in me." People slowed as they walked by. Some stopped. Most didn't. A group of teens laughed as they passed, joking, "What's he gonna sing? Baby Shark?" Jamie's cheeks flushed, but he said nothing. His hands trembled as he tightened the strings on his guitar. The truth was, Jamie hadn't planned to be there. His mother had always dreamed of hearing him sing in public. Just once, she used to say, "Sing for the world, Jamie. They need your voice more than you know." But she never got the chance. Cancer took her 6 months ago. Now, he was singing for her, and maybe, just maybe, for himself too. He stepped onto the small wooden crate he dragged from an alley. The drizzle had stopped, and a golden shaft of sunlight pierced through the clouds. A quiet hush settled over the corner as if the world sensed something sacred was about to unfold. Jamie took a shaky breath. Then he opened his mouth and began to sing. The song was "Fix You" by Coldplay, his mum's favorite. His voice, soft at first, wove through the melody with such aching purity that even the wind seemed to still. His falsetto trembled, raw and untrained, but there was something in it, something real, something broken, something brave. People stopped. A woman pushing a stroller pulled out her phone. A man in a business suit blinked twice and removed his earbuds. An elderly couple holding hands leaned against a bench, tears welling in their eyes. And then, it happened. The crowd went silent. Even the city itself seemed to pause. The sound of Jamie's voice floated through the square like a prayer. His notes cracked when he sang the line, "Tears stream down your face," and a visible sob caught in his throat. He faltered for a beat, but then looked up, as if seeing his mother in the clouds, and sang louder, stronger. By the time he reached the final note, dozens had gathered. Some cried openly. Others stood with their hands over their hearts. Coins and notes filled the small guitar case at his feet. But Jamie didn't notice any of it. He stared into the sky, whispering, "That was for you, Mum." A woman stepped forward from the crowd. She wore a long navy coat and clutched a silk scarf. Her face was gentle, eyes kind. She introduced herself as Clara Bennett, a vocal coach who had once trained performers at the West End. But she hadn't been to a show in over a year. She was grieving her own son who'd passed unexpectedly the year before. "I didn't think I could feel music again," she said, kneeling to Jamie's level. "But your voice, it reached me. You reminded me why I ever fell in love with it." Jamie looked at her, wide-eyed. "I've never had a teacher," he whispered. "You do now," Clara smiled, tears tracing her cheeks. "If you'll let me." The crowd burst into soft applause, not for the performance, but for the moment. Word spread fast. Within days, Jamie's video was everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Millions watched the boy with the broken guitar and the bigger heart. Thousands of messages poured in, strangers from the US, Canada, South Africa, India, each saying how they were touched, how they cried, how Jamie's courage gave them hope. A week later, Jamie was invited to perform at a charity gala at the Royal Albert Hall, supporting cancer research. It was the very stage his mum used to dream he'd sing on. He walked onto that vast stage, hands trembling just like before. But this time, he wasn't alone. Clara stood by the wings. The crowd was packed with people who had heard his story. He sang the same song. Only now, his voice soared. It was no longer the sound of grief, it was the sound of healing, of a boy growing into a gift he never knew he carried. When the final note faded into silence, everyone stood. The applause was thunderous, but even louder were the tears in every corner of that grand hall. After the performance, a young girl came up to Jamie backstage. She had lost her dad to cancer and said, "When you sing, I don't feel so alone." Jamie hugged her, gently. "That's why I do it," he said. "So no one else has to feel that way." And so, the boy who once stood alone on a London street corner found his voice. Not just for himself, but for the world. In the kindness of strangers, in the compassion of a grieving teacher, and in the echo of his mother's memory, Jamie discovered that one voice, however small, could truly make a difference.